This is Dr. Gigi Sabbat, and you're listening into the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Douglas. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here.
Likewise, such an honor to have you here today. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from, Douglas?
Well, that's a good question. Where am I from? I was an Army brat, so I was from everywhere. Much of my childhood, I actually spent in Hawaii, growing up in Japan and other places. But so it's sort of a nomad from a childhood kind of perspective. But most of my adult life I spent in New Jersey, living in New Jersey and working in New York City. Now I live in North Carolina. I retired down in North Carolina, semi-retired down in North Carolina. I was a lawyer for almost 50 years. I still do a little bit of practice. I'm also a novelist. I've written 13 books, and that's sort of where my passion is. And today, in addition to writing my novels, I consult with lawyers and law firms on succession planning and where they go to next.
Incredible. And what inspired you to become a lawyer?
I wish I could say it was an exotic story, but it wasn't. It was our next door neighbor would go to work every day in a suit with a briefcase, and I thought he looked cool. I said, "What does he do?" And someone told me he was a lawyer. I said, "Maybe that's what I want to be." So I became a lawyer. It was no grand epiphany or anything like that. I just decided that that was the direction I wanted to go.
That's incredible. And what advice do you have for someone who may be considering attending law school and obtaining their degree?
I love this profession. I think that it's a great way to give back and to serve the interests of others and that kind of thing. If that's the desire you have to do that, then I think that that's a really good motivation to do it. If the reason you want to do it is to make a lot of money, that's not a bad idea either. But you better have a good plan for that because it's going to cost you a lot of money to go to law school. So it's I think it's a great profession. You got to be committed to it. You have to be ready to really work hard if you're going to go to law school. It's very different than college. It's when you get to graduate work, as you know, it's a whole different kind of world. It's a lot harder to do and accomplish. You got to really apply yourself. But if you've got that passion for it, and you have the passion to help others and to pay it forward, I think the legal profession is a great place to go.
I love it. Great advice, Douglas. And now, Douglas, you are also an author. Amazing. Can you
Yeah,
tell us a little
it's
bit
hard to
more
do a
about your
passion.
books?
Yeah, I've written 13 books. Eight of them are novels, which I
Awesome.
really is what I really like to write. And they're thrillers, the kinds of somewhere between a cross between a Grisham and a little bit of Manchester and a little bit of other writers in there. I don't profess to be as good as they are, anyway. But it's fun to create characters and write novels where you what I call plausible fiction, where all of my novels are obviously fictional works, but they're based on data and research that is plausible, so that my readers hopefully walk away from the book enjoying the read, but also saying that there's something to really seriously think about. And my latest novel called Deadly Bytes, Bytes, is about an AI serial killer. So it's sort of cutting edge kind of stuff that's fun to write about and ponder.
I love it. As an author myself, and I'm really looking forward to reading your book, Douglas. Now, Douglas, what does leadership mean to you?
Well, that question I think is complicated, obviously, but the part that for the first word association of leadership, what comes to me, is delegation. I think that true leaders know how to delegate, and then to trust those to whom they delegated the work, to mentor them, to help them grow, and it's the water rises the boat, or whatever that saying goes. That's the whole idea in leadership to me is to build teams, to trust others, to teach others, and to delegate a lot of the work that you have to do. I used to joke when I was practicing law. I used to tell my team that I want to be the laziest lawyer in the world, so that every single time someone comes in, I'm going to give it to you to do. And that was sort of my silly way of saying, I want you to learn, and I want you to grow, and I want to supervise you and mentor you through that process. That to me is a leader.
Incredible. And Douglas, tell us a little bit more about a major challenge that occurred in your life.
Well, the one that comes most to mind is going to law school. I did not do very well in college. I partied an awful lot, had a great time, and I took the law school admission test, did very high on it. So I decided I could apply to particular law schools. So I applied to 12 law schools, and I was rejected by 12 law schools because my GPA just didn't cut it. So I got a job at an insurance company as a claims adjuster for a year, and then applied to another 12 law schools. So there were 24 in total. And the schools, I lowered my level of stature in terms of the law schools that I applied to. And then I started getting the rejections on those as well. And it would have been easy to give up, but my dream was to be a lawyer. So then I got a postcard from a brand new law school in New Hampshire to be asking me to apply. And I actually got my name from the rejection list of another law school. So I applied, and lo and behold, long story short, that's the only law school I got into, 25th law school I applied to. And there began my story. I graduated at the top of my class. I applied myself, and everything was great after that. But I didn't give up. And the lesson from that in terms of challenges, we're challenged every day in things that we do or things we have to face or deal with. And it's you just don't give up. If that's what you want, you keep at it no matter what, and keep pushing towards it. And eventually, that will come to a positive result more often than it won't. So that's sort of that in my life, that was probably my biggest challenge.
I love your attitude in regards to what you just shared there. Thank you so much, Douglas. Now, what gives you the most joy?
Being with people, and telling stories and relaxing and just sort of learning something about them. I love to hear people's backstories and how they got to where they are and those kinds of things. I think that, one of the things that I think is very important in the business world. I grew a law practice that was very substantial before I retired and transitioned into others. The key I always used to tell the people that worked for me was that before the person's going to write you a check, the person has to know that you care about them, that you're interested in them as individuals. Get them interested in you and let them know you care about them and thinking about them. Then they'll write you a check and hire you. But don't walk in with an elevator's pitch and tell them how wonderful you are and how great you are and how much you can do for them. That's not going to get you anywhere. That's going to be a real turnoff. Don't ask for the sale or ask for the business until you've shown that person that you have a genuine interest in them. So that's why I enjoy talking to people and learning about their backgrounds and where they've come from, what they've done, and that kind of thing. Once I get there, then I can have a more business-like, if I'm looking for business, I can have the business-like conversation with them.
Great advice, Douglas. Do you have any last words for the audience?
No, I just live life. I don't know, it sounds kind of silly when you say that, but when you get older like me, I'm 76 years old, and I've led a very healthy life and a very fun life. And I look back on it, and you saw so many of my colleagues, particularly in the legal profession, as they got older, they would suffer from depression. They would have lows and whatever it was, and they sort of didn't know what else they wanted to do with their lives as they got older. And then you see when they do ultimately retire, they kind of just fade away. Well, there's no reason for that. My parting thought would be never fade away, always be relevant, always pay it forward, always find ways that you can contribute at any age or any point in your career. You can do more, you can contribute more. And to do that, and in the end of the day, what you sow, you reap, and you will have a much better life and a much longer life and a happier life if you do that.
Very true. Now, Douglas, where can the audience find you?
I have my writer's website is douglasjwood.com. And my professional website where I do the consulting work with law firms is at dawn, the number two, dusk, dusk.com. And then my books are all sold on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Apple and all those kinds of places. So I'm easy to find. Just put Douglas J. Wood in the search engine. You'll find me. Don't put Douglas Wood in the search engine because there's another author who writes books about turtles named Douglas Wood. I don't write books about turtles. I write different books. So it's Douglas J. Wood, and you'll find me.
Thanks so much, Douglas, and thanks for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. God bless you.
Great having you.
Yes.
Great to be here.